Good evening, and welcome back to the farm. Here in Tennessee, West Tennessee, and we are in growing zone 7 Bravo, it's time to start planting some of the early crops that we can put out right around or a little bit before the frost date. Today, we're going to plant some buttercrunch lettuce. First thing you want to do is you want to get you some good dirt. We use this Miracle Grow potting mix, but any kind of store-bought dirt will work, and you put it in the cells of our growing tray. And so you go ahead and you put your dirt in here the best you can. Now I do pre-moisten this to make it much easier to work with. And so I go through and I just kind of push it all down to ensure that everything gets full. So you go ahead and fill all this thing up. And you're going to have some of the cells that sink a little bit. So I'll show you how to deal with that in a minute. But you just take your palm and you kind of push it down until you get all your cells full, which is what we're doing right now. Trying to make sure everything gets good and packed in the best we can. And yeah, we're going to make a mess here. Well, Mrs. Possum Ridge Farms probably won't know if I get it cleaned up before this video is over. And so, as we go ahead and fill our cells, I can show you exactly how we get everything where we need it to be. Now, you take your hands. As a martial artist, actually I am a first-degree black belt in Taekwondo, you wax on, wax off. And so that's exactly what we're doing here. We're pushing the soil in as best we can. Now this is a potting mix, but you could use regular dirt, and you can read online exactly how to do that. But you've got to be careful when you use regular dirt. You've got to sterilize and do all these other things. It's just easier to do it the way I'm doing it here. Now, you pick up your tray once you think you have it the way you want it, and you drop it. Not very far, maybe 6-8 inches. And if you notice, it sinks. The dirt sinks. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some more dirt here and kind of finish filling it up. And we'll drop it again here in a minute. But you need to make sure that your dirt is pretty full, give or take. Now there's several different crops that we're going to start, but I'm only going to show you one because they're all about the same on how you get them started. And the germination chamber settings are different. If you don't have a germination chamber, just keep a consistent moisture and temperature, and they'll probably come up. Drop it again, we're about ready to go. So this is what we got. This is called an IMP Seeder. If you haven't seen any of my videos before, you probably haven't seen this, but what this allows us to do is take very, very small seed, and instead of using pelletized seed, which is more expensive, use the regular seed you can get at Walmart or whatever. Now, today, we're going to be using seed from Haas Tools. By the way, we are not subsidized by anybody. I just like their stuff. But we're going to use buttercrunch lettuce seed, and lettuce seed is ridiculously small. And so what you do is you take and you pour your seed out on your IMP Seeder, just a little bit. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go through and you're going to take a seed or two and drop it in every hole. And this takes a minute or so. But once you get your seeds in the hole, like this, you can kind of count if you want. Go on this side. And you go back over to this side over here and do it again. And what this is doing is it's allowing us to get this little bitty seed, which doesn't work in any seeder that I'm aware of anyway, in the proper amounts in these holes. And you can drop off a seed or two, it doesn't hurt anything. Now, once these holes are all filled with seed, then you just move it over one more set of rows. So here we go. And then we're going to go through and we're going to put some seed in here. Now, With these little bitty seeds, you're going to probably get more than one in the hole, and that's okay. We just need to make sure that we get at least one. We can always cull later. But if you've ever tried to plant lettuce seed without one of these seeders, it's easy to use a whole package and get it all in one spot, especially if you're doing this direct seeding outside. So I highly suggest that you do use something along this line. Now you may have fine enough fingers where you can do this. I just simply don't. And so I'm going through, and as you can see, I'm getting a seed or two in each hole. I'm not sure I got two in that one. And then we're going to move it again, and so on and so forth until you go all the way through. Continuing to work our seeder here till we get all our seeds in, and it does take some time. We'll get, with everything that we've got set up here, we'll get 100% germination easy out of this. And if you treat your seeds right, we do have a previous video on how you can store seed from year to year. Seeds last a long time. I'll link to that other video. It was a YouTube short. But it's real easy to store your seed from year to year. I know this year, this is the year of the apocalypse and the seed shortage, fertilizer shortage, food shortage, you know, spy balloons, all this other stuff. But you can save seed for a number of years if you just store it properly. Anyway, as we wrap up, we get our last seeds in here. And we're done. Now we have successfully seeded every one of these cells. Now, what we're going to do now, we're going to put our seeds back in our bag over here. And I will use these again. Now these are 21 seeds. This is currently the late winter of 22. But as you can see, we've got seeds in every hole. Not an easy thing to do. So the next thing, and maybe the most important thing you're going to do, is you're going to take some vermiculite. Vermiculite. And there's several kinds out there. Get the finest you can get, and you're going to spread it across the top. As you can see, this is some pretty fine stuff. I prefer to use the fine. I think you could probably use the coarse and not make a big deal. But what this does is, and we'll show you here in a minute, after you put your vermiculite all the way across the top, we're going to water from the bottom. And what that's going to do is, vermiculite is going to seal that water in, and it will increase your germination exponentially. You ever wonder how the commercial guys do it? This is exactly how they do it. And so they're not that much smarter than the rest of us, if at all, but they certainly know how to do these things. So you've got to kind of pay attention to what they do. And again, you kind of spread this out. Now we've got our potting mix. We've got our seeds put in properly. And we got our vermiculite. Next thing we do is we add water, and we'll put it in the chamber and we'll be done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our mixture out, and we're going to pour a little bit of water into the pan. Just a little bit. Just so we can get something going here. And so when we do this, we're going to spill some more. Don't tell Mrs. Possum Ridge Farms. One of the most important things you need to remember when you're starting seed is to water from the bottom. If you're watering from the top, you're going to have all kinds of problems. You're going to wash around and everything else. So now what we're going to do is, we're about half full. We're going to set our seed mixture with our vermiculite into this thing, and we're going to leave it sit. This vermiculite is a lighter white color, and the moisture will absorb, and you'll be able to tell when it's time to put this in the germination chamber or put something over the top like cellophane or something to keep the moisture in until you start seeing seeds coming up. So we're going to leave this sit for about a half hour, and we'll show you what it looks like. Now we're still waiting for our water to soak through all the way, but if you look on this side, you can start to see the water soaking up from the bottom. It's wicking up. And what that's going to do is going to provide a complete growing environment for your seeds. Now, again, we are in zone 7 Bravo, which means we have several different things we need to start. And the way this will work is this will go in the germination chamber. It will come out in probably no more than 4 days when it first starts to sprout. We'll get it under the lights. After that, we're going to put in broccoli. We got cauliflower, kale, although we do overwinter kale for green feed for some of our animals here, and cabbage. So all those will be in and out. Every one of those will have germinated sometime in February, and we will have under the lights getting ready for a mid-March, actually in the ground planting time. Of course, that depends on weather and everything else. We could hold it back a little longer if we have to, but we would prefer not to. But if you're in 7B and it's February, it's time to plant all those things. Now you can plainly see where the water is soaked up through the vermiculite. This is just a few minutes away from going in the germination chamber. Once this is put in there, it'll be checked once a day, and as soon as there's any sign of germination, which won't be more than a couple days, maybe 2 days, but probably 3 or 4, it'll be pulled out of the germination chamber, immediately put under the lights, and we'll get a fine stand of lettuce. I will be completely surprised if we don't get 100% germination rate. It's absolutely amazing if you follow exactly what I just showed you how to do, how great your germination rate will be. Now, I have heard and I've read articles where heads of lettuce this year, 2023, because of problems in California. Now, who'd ever thought there was going to be problems in California? Just saying. Can go as high as $8 to $10 a head. So if that's the case, we'll be growing a lot of lettuce this year. We'll see. It's easy to grow. And once we get into summer here, you can even grow it during the summer, but you have to switch varieties. We generally in the summertime grow Cherokee or Muir. Either way, they all grow fine here. Now there's some certain things that you have to do, and when we get to the summer and we're growing lettuce, I'll show you exactly how to do that. It's getting dark out here, but hopefully you can see this. This one flat of lettuce will be, once again, it'll take maybe 3 or 4 days, and this will go under the lights. When you're growing your own food, germination is the key to having a successful garden. So don't underestimate anything you're doing, even before the sprouts come out of the ground. Until next time, see you down at the barn.